in California with my childhood friends. And obviously, most of them are Raider fans because they're in this area. And my dad's family is actually from New Jersey. So they give me, sweaters and hats and calendars when they come visit. So I stood out. So that stuck. They just said, look for the kid who likes the Jets. So that's how it stuck to that. Um, so my English teacher was very influential to me. She asked me to do a career report, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was 10th grader, so kind of late, but um, so she pointed out, you live in an urban farming community. I know your parents, they're farm workers, and you tell me you harvest like most of them during the summer to get some extra money. So why not look there first, right? Search something, you might find something. And I did, and I found agricultural business. That's how I started. And then there it was profile on a broker, exporter, importer, and also a agribusiness man who was a farm labor contractor. So giving them my background, so I wrote the paper on that. But over the years, it evolved. I started seeing that there's a lot more to it than just the labor side of it, which is the only thing that growing up I saw. So now you can see the science side of it. So I switched to crop science, and then that's when I started, being interested in the pest management. I got a real good opportunity with an independent pest control advisor who really set me loose. And that's when I did really stuck with plant health. That's how I became a PCA, a pest control advisor, which is those of you that are not familiar with a pest control advisor career, we are plant doctors. We analyze, for example, a tree with fruit, the diseases, the pests, and we make observations, and then we have to take into account, like the other speaker said, the environment, because we want to keep this going for a long time, right? We want to sustain our food supply. We don't want to damage the soil. We don't want to get rid of the biological insects, which help us. They're insects that help basically eat the bad guys. So we have to take into consideration everybody, the people's health, the environment, the water table, all those things. So here, it fits perfectly because 80% of the people that I educate are farm workers, and we educate them on the safety side of it. My specialization is pest control, so I specialize in pesticide safety training. I must train close to 700, 800 workers a year, and it goes on to other things like tractor and forklift and those types of deals. But yeah, the environment is something that we have to keep our mind on because we want to keep it going for many generations to come. That's what we live off food, right?
I think that's a very good introduction about Jets, your background and so forth. And we will go into a more interactive question and answer kind of on the floor section. But I will kind of want to extend this a bit. Oh, and somebody else is joining. And tell us a little bit about like the ag and innovation and the autonomous equipment aspect in your work and what you've been seeing and how you've been working with that.
So 50% of the work we do here is educating. The other 50% is doing audits, inspections of all your equipment on your ranch, your farm, your processing facility. So before, a few years back, I never actually saw one like in person, an autonomous sprayer, for example. I read about them and saw them on videos, and I was like, whoa, those are cool. But I actually started seeing them, and me and you, I sent you some pictures, and we talked about it. I started telling you, well, I'm seeing the push for AI, smart farming out here, and so yeah, the first time I saw a few, I was very excited, and then I saw another rancher have it. So I've seen four of our clients. These are just our clients. It works with nobody on it. One person can control about eight of them, and so they are expensive. So I think that for now, I see positive push. I think in the future, maybe in 10 years, it'll be more common, either by the farmer having it or by the service. There are some companies that provide spraying services, but you will see much more of them. Have a good conversation about it. It's some people will say it's taking away jobs, but others, will have another opinion of it. Um, so, I think there's a future there for students that are involved in STEM, science and engineering. Definitely, because right now, and they will tell you the shop guys right now, with all the respect, they don't. This is not their area. This is a total different aspect of farming. So you're gonna have those very intelligent, smart, new people entering agriculture that are what I, interested in STEM, science and engineering, mathematics. That's where it's at. So we can design better ones, and it's always evolving. We can always get better. It's good enough now, but I can see it getting much better because I talk to these people and there's still some things, some issues with them. They do what they have to do, but they might stop if they see a rabbit or something like that. So there's much room for improvement, and that's where the young generation comes in, takes this model and makes it even better.
We have an extensive group today now that has joined us, and I also do want to do make this interactive. And we have a couple of the mentees here today, which I'm really excited about. So I think I would like to kind of shift jets. Our jets are. Was there anything else as part of your intro or presentation, or we can shift into the more interactive question and answer part, as what I call the Oprah conversation.
Can also say there are other things like drones. Drones are used a lot now. And there's in the pest management world, before it was just a trap with sticky material on it. Now you put out a trap and it's going to give you up-to-date counts. You'll have an app on your phone. It'll give you temperatures, humidity. It will give you a graph of what particular insect, and it would identify for you is the pressure going up, the meaning the numbers, and you can make a decision faster. Before it would take a week or two before. So it's faster, more efficient, and all this is good for the environment too because now you're spraying when you have to. If you want to spray, that will be your last resort, but it's just more efficient, and it trickles down to the environment and people's safety and all those good things. So.
Okay, excellent. I think we're gonna shift into what I call like a mini Q&A, launched a little bit from the mentees, who've been really excited about meeting you, and then we're gonna turn it to the floor after that because we have a pretty good audience here today. So I mean, I can kick it off a little bit, first with one of the questions is that what are some of the greatest challenges in agriculture in the Central Valley, and how have you seen ag tech tackle that? I think you have brought up some things already,
Yeah.
specifically like the drones, the sprayers, but what do you foresee as some of the greatest problems in ag right now in Bakersfield? And specifically, how are you seeing ag techs maybe solve it? If I can even, ask it
Yeah.
that
Great question. So here, and I'm pretty sure it's everywhere else, but it's here because we're a desert, considered a desert area. Irrigation is the immediate problem. Getting the water, it's expensive. Some ranchers have actually pulled out certain crops because they require a lot of water, but they can't get it. So irrigation, every drop counts. And AI helps with where I used to work. They had monitors on the fruit, monitors the growth, monitors on the tree that will monitor stress as far as being stressed for water, and it was all computerized. So we have sensors, and somebody in an office like this one has boards all over the wall, and is seeing all these different maps and these ranches, and then we have apps on the phone, and 24 hours, we never turn it off. It will let us know if something busted. It will let us know a warning sign. Like you get a warning sign, some of us in the phone when there's an earthquake, we get a warning sign if there's a major leak or major bust, or it will let us know, hey, this side of the field, this particular row is deficient. This particular tree, we go by trees, so it gets really down to the point, and every drop counts, and that's big right now. And there's always a challenge with the expense of it, but if you really look at it, you sit down and crunch the numbers like my old boss used to say, it definitely pays off. You don't want to be wasting water right now when sometimes you can't get it. Different water districts operate differently, and it costs a lot of money. Even if you want to make a well, and we're a desert here, we don't get a lot of rain. Lately, we've been getting some rain, but in the past, we had no rain.
Okay, excellent. I think there's some more questions. I think I saw Laurel or unmute herself.
My question shifts a little differently, but because I'm curious, some more about the type of the work that you do, coming from an educator side standpoint, so you know a little bit more about, I guess, like a humanity standpoint. So I was wondering if you've seen the companies that you work for or have in the past affect agriculture in any way that you maybe didn't think or expect to, positively or negatively.
Are we talking about on the labor side, like how they we treat our workers in that kind of that
I would
way?
say any. I'm curious about all because I also came from a family that grew up in the field. So I'm curious to hear
Oh,
everything that you
okay.
have to say. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, right now, what I have a special project here with California Safety Training. We work with a certain company, and what I do during the harvest, right now, table grapes, I go and I do an inspection. I talk to them. I get to know them. I got to know them already, and I want to see how they're being treated. I talk to the farm labor contractors. I talk to the foremen, the supervisors. I'm out there to see that everything is okay. Are you taking your breaks? Are they giving you your 15 minutes completely, not 14, not 10? And I grew up in this, so I know the bad side too. I know how it is. And is your bathrooms clean? You have enough water.
Ooh.
You require 1 quart per hour, which is 2 gallons for an 8 hour workday. So you got to have your water, your shade, especially when we get up to 95 degrees and above. 80 degrees up, you need shade. So I've seen a lot of positive stuff, a lot of changes from when I was a boy, because I've seen and I remember how well, in the past, verbal abuse can be a problem, and that's what we educate people on sexual harassment here, and that's part of the sexual harassment, verbal abuse, you know, um, putting people in certain jobs that they're not going to be successful in, and it's still a challenge, but it's getting better and better. Yeah, and as far as I worked in a prison, a Taft federal prison, and I worked with different ethnic groups, and so it was very rewarding, and a lot of people gave me a lot of credit for being somebody who cared, which I did it with, like, I always do it with the passion. But I hope that kind of answers your question. As far as the farm labor side is getting better, there's work to do. There's still some areas where we have trouble, but uh, I definitely would say it's gotten better. Treatment, the wages, and how now they have somebody to go to. They can speak up before they couldn't. They're educated too in the sexual harassment. Supervisor managers need 2 hours. The other workers need 1 hour. So that's one of the classes that I hear that I got passionate about, because like you and me, this is where we come from. And so I don't, when I see something that it's not correct, I'm really passionate about it. So these classes, everybody has given me good feedback, because they see that, hey, this man, now a man, he gets it. That's what they tell me, because they can see it in my eyes. They can see it how I speak. They can see the different examples, which are real stories that I've seen. And so we're working on it, and it's getting better. But I would say very positive now. I think that from the 80s now, it's much, much better.
Certainly. Thank you for sharing. It sounds to seem like everything's only improving and hopefully it will.
Yeah, so then I also have a question. So more on the technical and I guess agricultural side, you kind of touched on it on how AI is being implemented now. So what would you say is your outlook or like kind of future vision for ag tech in the Central Valley or California in general, and why do you think that?
Um, it's it's a reality, not a vision no more. It's smart farming. We need it to sustain this we have, which is our food supply. So yes, in the future, like I'm telling you, if you're interested in that, or anybody else interested in AI and agriculture, putting your skills and your talent, there's definitely going to be a huge opening for students like you guys, future engineers, and anything related to that. It's a reality. In order to be sustainable, we're going to have to push more AI in agriculture, and it will. And farming can be a little bit slow, but because new innovations, but there's other factors, the cost and things like that. But I feel that it's here, and it's definitely making a push. I've seen it in the last few years. Like I was telling you, I used to just see it in magazines and videos, but no, it's out there in the farms and the ranches, and it's here. It's my vision would be the next 10 years will be very common. Next 20, it will be the norm. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, me personally, I'm a computer science and engineering student, so it's good to hear that there's more openings for
Oh,
people in my position, especially since I'm studying in the Central Valley. It's kind of good to see like this firsthand view of like what the future possesses.
Yeah, there's robots that they use too to harvest apples, peaches. There's robots too in the processing facilities where they wrap and pack and do all those things. And there's robots that do they kill weeds via laser. And this is just simplifying it because that's not my area, but that's what we're seeing out there. And you know, I think if that's you're leaning toward that, you definitely have a bright future in AI and agriculture.
I see some hands go up right now. I'm going to take them in the order. Some very good questions so far. I see Tom Harmon has a question. Please
Yeah,
mute
th-
yourself. Uh,
yeah. Thanks, Jets. This is fascinating. When you think about the automation of say pesticide application, maybe through drone sprayers and things, um, how do you see the business model playing out? Is this another tool for the farmer to learn, or will it be more third party? And would there be some leakage of jobs from the laborer side into specialized sort of third party jobs?
Yeah. So drones are more efficient and they're safer because obviously here that's why I teach all these hundreds of people to apply pesticides safely. So you have just one operator and then you have the drone. Yes, I heard you're going to need a license and some training to do that. So I look at it more as a service type. Somebody is interested. I have a friend who's really good with drones and he just does it on like a hobby. So I told him about it. You know, get your training, get your license, be certified, and you could be out there, you know, providing this service. So I see it as a service. I don't see it as an in-house thing where a farmer's going to be doing it because you need the license and the training. And as of right now, I don't see many people workers learning this. There could be some, but most likely it won't. So I see it as a service and it's here. It's here to stay. And there's a lot more things you can do. You just spray, you can map out fields, and you can also use it for irrigations. And you can release biological insects like ladybugs. A ladybug is a biological insect. I've seen them do that. So yeah, it's definitely I see it as a service because of the you know you have to have certain skills and to get the license.
Yeah. Just a quick follow up. So if I get my license, I probably also have to get some hazardous waste management skills if I'm going to put the bucket of spray on my drone, right?
Yes, you
Um,
would have to go through a pesticide safety training
yeah,
like we do. There's also one called Train the Trainer. So there's those are you would have to learn how to
yeah.
work with pesticide safety
Do
and
you
how to get rid of them, how to store them and
do you,
then get rid of them.
do you think there'll be do you think there'll be a transition period, where it may be unlikely that I know a lot about every crop or every tree, and maybe I need a worker to help me direct me. Do you see any kind of sort of automation collaboration, human machine collaboration in sort of the interim period?
I do. I think right now it's not just going to be, AI, because all these that I mentioned, like the autonomous sprayer, the drones, a human is the one controlling it, troubleshooting it. So right now it's not, it's going to be both uh,
Yeah.
human and AI intelligence working together uh, for now and for a while. So I see that. But yes, you still have to follow the same laws and regulations of wherever your county is as far as applying pesticides, because it's still like applying it through a crop duster or this is actually safer than that. So yeah, but you would have to learn how to handle chemicals, pesticides, how to store them, and then how to rinse them out, and then have somebody to come and pick them up. And usually, what we do is when they're washed correctly, we recycle them back. So it's part of also sustaining, the environment. We don't want to, So yes, it's a nice circle, nice chain that we have to follow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we have Adrian. Adrian, you can unmute yourself. And if you like, also please introduce yourself as well and who you are.
Oh, sure thing. Hi, my name is Adrian. I am an inclusive innovation specialist with Vista. I'm an academic researcher, so I try to look for technologies that are affordable and scalable to small and large farms. And that's actually my question. I wanted to ask what advancements in autonomy like equipment or any ag tech do you see that is scalable and that is affordable for all the small and large farms in pest management? And yeah, if you could share anything you know about that topic.
Okay. Well, the certain things right now are definitely within the budget. Obviously, the autonomous sprayers are expensive. The ones that operate without an operator. Um, but there's also you can also look into government programs. There's a lot of them, so that would be something to look into. I know here they have a certain it's called Valley Air District, so they help out with buying a tractor that doesn't produce a lot of dust. So it's going to be a challenge. The bigger equipment, but there's also if you need it, you can go to these bigger corporations are buying them and they're providing a service. So the small grower is not going to be left out. You can also, hire a service like a farm contractor, an agronomist service. So you can still, if you can't afford it, if you're not that large scale, which most are not, you can hire somebody to help you out and apply it. But there's a lot of things like drones. I think drones are definitely, you can, if you certain people are going to be able with their license to operate one, you know, but it's more of a sticky traps and that you can get. It's still we still got a lot to work on that, and that's one thing that I'm concerned about the gap between the smaller grower and the corporations that obviously can afford this bigger type of implement. But I think it'll get better. I think government will also help, like I said, because we have to protect what we got. We have to sustain our lives. We have to sustain our food source. So I don't think that we're totally going to leave people behind. But right now, yes, they are expensive, the bigger ones, but there are also others that are very much for a grower that like a drone or an irrigation type of monitoring system that can work for you.
I did have a follow-up on that. So you did mention there is improvement or room for improvement in some of those technologies. Um, can you share a little bit more of what specific technologies do you wish or envision that we can improve in the future?
Well, right now they all need improvement. They're very good tools. This is just the beginning stage of it. So somebody who's interested and wants to take it to the next level will. So the autonomous sprayers, because I get feedback from these guys every time I go there, I talk to them, and they're like, "Yes, when it works correctly, it's awesome." But there's also if they're very sensitive, so if they see a rabbit or a squirrel, it will stop because that's what it's programmed to do. There's been some problems with like phone receptions. Like they get like a phone. It's like a phone. They get a reception. So whenever they're in big orchards, they don't function properly because they're not getting the proper reception. So those are the biggest things that they've been telling me that are the problems. There's always room for more for irrigation. I mean, we're like barely touching what we can do with this, and it's barely been how I don't know if the right word is accepted, but uh, growers, farmers are, it can be hard to introduce new ideas, new technology. I think I'm safe to say that, but they have, and they've seen the results. They want to see results. If you come up with a new autonomous sprayer and they see the results and the numbers, then they'll go for it. Because at the end of the day, we have to keep this going, which is our food source. We have to sustain ourselves. So, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Think of it as a cell phone when it first came out. I grew up in the 80s, so I've seen the biggest ones you could think of. And then right now, they're smartphones. So think of it like that. Look at the transition in the last 20 years or so. So that's the way you should think of it. It's at the beginning stage, like at the beginning cell phone. And now look where we're at with these smartphones. So think of it like that. There's a lot to be improved upon.
Oh, that's excellent. Those are really good questions. Very forward looking. We have another question from Kat. Cordy, you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kat. I work for the UC Merced Experimental Smartphone. I heard you talking about small growers and I got really interested because that's what we're all about. And I was wondering what your foresight was, whether you thought that this ag tech revolution we're seeing now is going to benefit or hurt small farms. If we're going to see a shift towards factory farming, or will small growers be able to thrive?
I think for now, for a couple of decades, I don't see if you can get AI, it'll definitely help you out. If you're a small grower, I don't know, 500 acres is what I kind of consider it. People are still going to be here to spray your crops and to do the work. I mean, you're not going to be phased out. I don't see it anytime in a few generations or anything like that. But I think, definitely a lot of our clients are smaller growers, 500 acres, that kind of a range, or a little bit lesser. So no, they'll have still their farms running as conventional to the traditional farming, but eventually, and we're talking a few decades from here, it is going to keep pushing more and more towards AI. So if you can afford it now and you're making the transition, that's great. But traditional farming is going to be here for a while still. And I get asked that question a lot via the workers that are concerned. Well, what about us? What about we're not going to have a job? I go, it's you'll be for your generation. You don't have to worry about that because this is a slowly transition. It's positive. I like it. It's going to keep pushing, but I don't see the small farmer like phasing out. There's, small farmers will still be able to have a business going, and you can also. I say there'll be government programs if there's not already, and there'll be you can either rent a service, but it's still like what I tell the guys, you don't have to worry about your job right now. If there's a window opening for those of you who want to come into the smart farming, what I call it, AI, and it'll be there for the rest of your life and beyond. But it's not going to be something that's going to be phased out like the smaller farmer. Oh, can't afford an autonomous sprayer. I can't farm. No, you're still going to be able to do your traditional farming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Let's see. Any other questions?
I do have one, not exactly like a follow-up, but related to the small farmers topic. I was just curious thinking about it, what types of strategies or like resources are available for those farmers? Because they must just like, do they just fall behind the trends?
Like, are you talking about? Because some of them, and the percentage is very low right now. They have autonomous sprayers, or they're going that way. The transition is going to be slow. They're not using any. I mean, they continue farming traditionally, which is going to be the norm for a while. They'll be okay, but eventually, in my opinion, it will catch up as far as yields and quality and prices and all that kind of stuff. But not right now. I just see that there is a good push for AI. It's very slow, like I'm telling you, but I see it 10, 20 years from now becoming more and more the norm. But there's no reason to be scared of the smaller farmer or the workers not having any work. They're still going to be, they're still going to be the higher percentage. With AI, it's slowly, technology goes slowly. And I gave you guys the example of the cell phone, so think of it like that. So I don't see people suffering because of lack of jobs or small farmers being out competing because they're using autonomous sprayers. And I think they're seeing, because a lot of these farms are generational farms, they're third generation, fourth generation. So they see the future. Okay, what about my grandchildren? My grandchild is 2 years old, but I don't want to put them at a disadvantage. So I see they're pushing now autonomous sprayers, drones. So let's get one or two and kind of slowly transition that way. That's what they do when they change a crop or something. They don't just pull out all the almonds. Slowly, they start planting something else that's like pistachios, and slowly for the next generation, because it takes like 6 or 7 years to get a good crop. So that's the thinking right now. They don't want to totally convert the farm, if they could, autonomous, everything, but they're thinking about their grandchildren and their kids and the future. And I keep repeating this because they know how important it is to sustain our lives and their way of life, which is farming. It's a culture. So I understand there's concerns that people might say, because I see it out there, especially my people, my farm workers tell me, well, I'm not gonna have a job because I'm able to spray. Or there's tractors too, they're autonomous now. So I said, don't worry. It is a transition. It will get, it will start. You can start seeing them more coming, but not you're okay for your generation as far as work. So I hope I can answer that. I understand that there will be some concerns, but it takes a while. It takes a while. The good example I could give you is the cell phones. They took a while, and they're getting better. Every year, so it I think we're sustainable right now, labor wise, farming wise. I don't think we have to worry about um, somebody being left out. But there are opportunities. So let's not get left out on those opportunities of the smart farming, the new farming, right? Because there will be, that's a niche. I consider a niche. There will be that niche for you guys that are STEM students or involved in engineering and great at math. So you can take advantage of that. You're not going to be phasing anybody out like from a job. Don't feel guilty. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Take advantage if there's those opportunities.
Okay, excellent. So we have time for a couple more questions. I see one coming into the chat box. Tom Harmon, can you think of one or two major challenges to pest control where you see the need for research by other students? And then what doesn't work well out there in the field? What does not work well out there in the fields?
Well, there's we need to come up with more biologicals, which is like an insect that eats another insect, or wasp. They're parasitic, which means it lays an egg inside the predator, the one you don't want that's damaging your crop. There needs to be research on that. We need to come up with more pesticides that are more natural. There's some that are, you can get that. The active ingredient is either a bacteria or a fungi. So those we need to go that way. We need more work on the labs, developing more resistant varieties through, doing research with tissue cultures and all that, the biology side. What's not working right now, and so if you spray a certain pesticide over and over and over again, the pests get resistant to it. So we need to come up with more, but it's going, the trend is safer. Right now, we are at the safest ever for the environment, water table, for the people, for the biologicals, for the aquatic life and the wildlife. So there's more research that needs to be done as far as getting pesticides that work in a different way. Maybe stresses out the insect, or it doesn't have to be more of a toxic poison. It could be something more natural that we can manipulate how they grow and things like that. So there's a whole thing there where you can do research on that.
Okay, excellent. See, I have another question that's sort of looking more like forward looking, is like, what is your outlook and I guess crystal ball on ag tech, with large farms and small acreage farmers, especially in the Central Valley in California, and why? And I always know there's a debate on both sides. There are folks like, yeah, this, where is this headed? Who knows with the AI? And I'm wondering, what is your own crystal ball and outlook for in the next several years?
I just see it continuing to grow at a slow pace, but it's going to grow each year as more people get interested in it. Younger students come in and they develop something better, because that's always the challenge in anything, to get better. So I see it coming and growing. It's here to stay in every aspect of agriculture. I just kind of hit the little tip of the iceberg here. There's so many other things that are being used, and like different like processing facilities and other things that I'm not so familiar with. I'm coming more strong through the farm, the ranch, being there on the land, on their properties. So, oh yeah, there's a huge window to be taken advantage in the future. I see it becoming more common. It's going to be slow process, but that's where it will evolve. They will, very smart people will come along, and then they'll maybe make it smaller. The autonomous sprayer is kind of big right now. Maybe they'll make it smaller. I keep coming back to the phones. It started off big and get smaller and smaller. And and maybe then become more affordable, which actually, whenever there's new technology, it's expensive and then it becomes more affordable. So the ones that are concerned about phasing out jobs, what about the smaller grower? So I think eventually, because we have to do it, keep repeating this, we have to sustain our way of life, which is food. And so meet, we have to meet in the middle somewhere. So that's where I see that. It just part of us evolving, as farmers.
All right. Excellent. Well, we are almost at our at the top. We have about another 5 minutes, so I would like to ask what are your maybe just some of your closing words and also some career advice for young people and students who are interested in getting into literally the field, your field. What advice would you give them?
So follow your passion. That's, I learned it later on in life, but I always had it. Somebody just had to kind of open my eyes to it. Like Juana Gonzalez, she comes from the same background as me, and it's there. And if you're interested in farming as far as the AI, it's there. You just kind of need to research more and go in depth more into it, but just always follow your passion, and it's not going to be a straight line because things are going to get tough. There'll be challenges, but if you just keep with your passion and you follow it, good things are going to happen. And it was nice doing this. It's great. You guys have great questions, and yeah, if you ever need any, you can contact me if you want.
So if you would like to follow up with Jets directly, you can send him an email. Yeah, I was going to say thank you very much for all of these really rich questions and the discussion and the conversation and your insight and your own story. It's really exciting to hear about the different opportunities, and for everybody here on this call today, as I noted early on, it's being recorded, and we will have this is the first in a series of virtual guest lectures that spotlight people, professionals, innovators, entrepreneurs, stakeholders who work in the growing field of agri-food tech. And we're super excited about it. And the series is going through the beginning of December. If you would like to continue to join us for this, we have another 4 speakers. Please email me directly. Thank you, everybody, very much for joining. And thank you to our special speaker, Gerardo Castro, today as well.